What is up, ghouls? Welcome back to the brand new Yarn Dungeon. Things are slowly coming together, like ever so slowly. When I get excited about something, I want it to be done right now, but I'm doing my best to enjoy the process. Each little step, just like this, having this fully set up here, ready to hang out. I don't know that everything is gonna stay like this, but I just chose some of my favorite yarn and my favorite plushies, just kind of creating this cozy little spooky corner for me. I have some tea and I'm about to get into this yarn auction. The show starts in about 2 hours, so I am a little bit early. This is actually today's sponsor, which is the Whatnot app. It's a live stream platform where you can buy thrifted yarn. Not only can you buy it, but you could also sell it. So everything that's happening in my life right now, it's just kind of the perfect storm. With it being an auction, it's very similar to things like Etsy or Depop, but instead of being a picture, it's an interactive live stream. This is not just an app for yarn. There are many other categories that are available, but we're here in the Yarn Dungeon chit-chatting, so I'm feeling like we're both here for yarn. But there are things like clothing, tumblers, there's an arts and crafts sections, handmade beads, scrapbooking supplies, many categories that you can go through. You're definitely gonna want to download this ahead of time because I am going to be having my very first ever Destash from the Yarn Dungeon May 12th. I do have a code for you, $15 off your first purchase. After you've downloaded the app, you'll see live shows and also upcoming shows. And for those, you're able to bookmark. So make sure you head on over, join the Ghoul Squad over there, bookmark my show for May 12th. That way you don't miss out on any spooky yarn that's leaving the Yarn Dungeon. So while I'm waiting for the show to get started, I figured we could go through some of my yarn that I have, because apart from what you see behind me, everything is still boxed up from traveling. And since it's all nice and neat and collected at this moment in time, it's perfect to get ready for my very first show on the Whatnot app, which means I need to take some pictures, decide what I want, get it all nice and ready for you ghouls to come raid my stash. Lots and lots of Halloween yarn. That is what you're gonna find in this very first live of mine. Many of these are super spooky Halloween yarn that I have purchased and made a project with, and these are just extra. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use it for something different. Absolutely, I totally will. These zombie ones, of course I'm gonna keep these. Fast forward to now and I still haven't used it. And like, these cannot sit. They have to go out into the world. I've made a cardigan, socks, leg warmers with this yarn, and since it is limited edition, like this is all that is left in the Yarn Dungeon, I'm hoping that as you see this, you get sparks of spooky inspiration for projects of your own. I also will be adding some notions as well, including this drop spindle. So if you are interested in spinning your very own yarn, this could be a fantastic starter for you. Because this is an auction, most of my packages of yarn are gonna start at $1 or $2, which means you get a fantastic deal and I get to clean up the Yarn Dungeon a little bit. So win-win situation. This one is called Ember and Cat's Got Your Tongue. I'm seeing a cardigan with this all together. This one is incredibly special. It doesn't look like it from first glance, but this is the very first hank of yarn that I have ever hand dyed. You want a little piece of Yarn Dungeon memorabilia, fingering weight superwash merino wool yarn, lovingly dyed from me in the old Yarn Dungeon. Oh, we do have some Muse 2320 yarn. This is based off of the cinema, so Milk Duds and Popcorn. If you're a spooky movie lover like me, you're gonna want these to make yourself a pair of socks. I have made 2 pairs already, so this is going out into the world as well. Whole collection of adorable mini hanks of yarn. Some of them are spooky themed, other ones were Coraline themed, but they're so adorable and I need them to be worked up into something. I have a lot of them too. Like, there is a lot. I have 6 cakes of this Zombie Planet yarn. You could easily make a cardigan from these, maybe like a nice drapey mesh stitch for Summerween. Oh, that would be so fun. So these were all lightweight number 3. Then I have 1 cake of the Zombie Planet sock weight yarn. So you know where I'm going with this, right? Cardigan, matching pair of socks, throw on a spooky movie. The show has just started and they are showing off some of the hanks. Most of it looks like it's hand dyed yarn, and there's a couple that they're talking about they just added, so it wasn't in there. Like I said, sometimes there are mystery little bits here. They have already said if you're interested in anything, shout it out because they'll go grab that first. Which is kind of nice if there's a really long list of stuff that they have there and they're willing to do that for you. Maybe you can't stay for the entire thing. I mean, definitely stay for it. But if you can't and there's a specific thing you want, this is really cool that they let you do that. So I am gonna ask for Stephen King one. Okay, that one is still available. They're gonna run that one next. Okay, cheers. Let's get all the luck in the world that I can grab this hank. First bid, first one in there. 3 seconds, 2, 1. Stephen King inspired colorway yarn. Oh my gosh, that is fun. Now I'm just gonna chill. That was the main thing that I wanted. So the rest of the show, I can just relax. There's still quite a bit of yarn that I would like to snag from here, but we're just gonna relax for a little bit. My yarn has just arrived. The show happened on a Sunday. It shipped out on Monday. It is now Wednesday. That was so incredibly quick. The entire process I enjoyed too. It wasn't just a notification of your yarn is here. I got a notification when it was dropped off at the post office, when it was moving around every time it had a major movement, and then obviously when it was here today, it was like a big one that was like, hey, go grab your yarn. Let's get into this. This one is called Ruby. Towards the end of the show, like I almost didn't snag it because I wasn't paying attention. And then all of a sudden they mentioned something about crimson. I was like, wait, what? Thank you very much. So there are 3 hanks of this, fingering weight and 100% superwash merino wool. I'm thinking a cardigan. Maybe make some granny squares, pair it together with some black yarn that I already have. Next is from Bumblebee Acre Fiber Farm. This one is called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Again with the crimson red and the charcoal. This all together is just screaming a pair of Krampus socks. Whimsical Wood Yarn Co. This one is inspired by Stranger Things and the character Billy. I love the deep, intense blue and the little bits of witchy purple in it. This is the one that I was excited about. Stephen King inspired Christine. It is even more beautiful in person, and this orange, stunning. I'm so ready to get this all together. So fingering weight 3 ply, 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon. I'm gonna need some socks. Immediately, 2 brand new pairs of socks. This is the Oink pigment, which, oh, this is really soft. 100% extra fine superwash merino in a DK weight. It's a little gray palette with some speckles of color in it. Not quite sure what I'm gonna do with this one. I was just really interested to try out this brand of yarn in general. There was some schlubby yarn, which I love the texture of and everything, but this one went fast. So 2 of them, 2 out of the 3 that I bid on, I was outbid. And it was like last minute, like 2 seconds left. They just snuck right in there and got it. Very happy that I was able to grab one of them. This one is called Zombie Princess. It looks like it has a couple of stitch markers on it too. They may have mentioned that there was stitch markers on here and I was just in the zone of like schlub yarn. I need to snag some of these, but there's 2 of them and it's the big kind that opens like that, so you can put it around bulky chunky yarn too. It doesn't just have to be this super fine weight yarn, which is a 90-10 merino nylon. All of this is hand wash, lay flat to dry. Zombie Princess, hot pink right there with a little bit of purple too. Last one that I have is from Chromatic Yarns and it's called School of Enchantment. Maybe these 2 together, School of Enchantment and Zombie Princess, that might make a super cute beanie. I have 2 socks already, possibly a cardigan. What am I gonna do with the Billy one? So I think yes for a Zombie Princess beanie. One of the things that I loved about this auction live stream platform of purchasing thrift yarn was the chit chat. I really enjoyed especially when there was a hank of yarn that I was interested in. I enjoyed hearing the backstory of why this other human was also interested in the yarn. Like, what did they originally get it for? Was it extra from a project that they worked on? And, you know, like it was just like one extra hank. I enjoyed the chit chat, the banter back and forth, especially since it's a live auction for yarn. Every other human that was there for yarn. Within the chat, people talking about, oh, I love this yarn, I love that brand because of X, Y, and Z. It was such a fun experience. And I went through about 2 pots of tea, just like sitting, even after I had purchased all of the yarn that I was able to grab. I stayed and hung around for the chit chat later. I jumped over to another auction that was happening. It just feels like a super fun community. I just finished taking all of the pictures of the yarn to add on to my very first ever live Destash on the Whatnot app. I felt like I wanted to add some stitch markers to it as well. I am a huge fan of stitch markers and my collection is vast, to say the least. I remembered that I had these little buddies. I had been saving these until I had an area that I could set up specifically for making stitch markers. Like, I have all of the pieces and everything just ready to go. I added a large lobster clasp onto the top of each character, and now it's a stitch marker. This one actually has reflective eyes too, so if you're crocheting in the middle of the night, it's gonna be nice and extra spooky. Had to do these next two, and I feel like these have to go together, right? Like, they have to stay together. Next up will be Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and then I have Oogie Boogie. Just gonna sit down and do the rest of them today. Spread the spooky joy and add these on to my shop. I also added a couple that are glamour goth vibes. So initially, oops, there we go, spin it around. You're not gonna immediately think Halloween with these. You're like, oh, that's very chic, very pretty. And then you get a little closer and you're like, oh my gosh, is that a bat? Yes, yes it is. I have 6 in total. These are the last 3 that I need to put together. If you love stitch markers like me, make sure that you click the bookmarker for my Destash day, which again is May 12th. Feel like I have everything that I wanna add to my very first ever live. As I am unpacking the yarn dungeon and setting things back up, I may find some other things. So bookmarking, following, it's gonna be a must. So that is it for me today, ghouls. Thank you for hanging out with me here in the brand new yarn dungeon. Everything that you need to know for the Whatnot app is linked down below. Make sure you check it out ahead of time. And again, bookmark my show, the spooky Destash. You don't want to miss it. Check it out. See everything that's on there. I will be adding these tonight, so those will be in there. Thank you for hanging out in the brand new yarn dungeon. Everything that you need to know for the Whatnot app, downloading it, and checking out all the other auctions that are happening right now. It's all down below. Make sure you check that out ahead of time. One more shout out thank you to Whatnot for sponsoring today's video. So I hope you have a fantastically spooky rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.